I don't really make videos on this channel anymore, but I've been really enjoying the new Dark Magician of Destruction support and thought that I'd make a video showcasing the kind of list I'm running, some tech choices that I find a lot different than older builds and what other people are doing, and just my overall thoughts. I know I'm a nobody, but you know, uh, have been really enjoying the deck and realistically always have since info. With the introduction of Dark Magician of Destruction, there's more motivation to run Diabellstar the Black Witch at 3, since that creates a lot of pressure breaking into boards and creating your board. One Black Witch represents uninterrupted the Deception, which will get you Hallowed plus the Omni Negate of Ilia Sylvia plus Gaze of Timaeus, which is Dragoon Turbo. So if they choose not to respond, that's easily 2 Omni Negates plus the bridge into your White Forest engine using Magistus Chorozo, which I'll show my extra deck in a bit later once I get around to talking about that. With this new ways to force interaction, I've been taking the deck building approach of really leaning into that direction. So one of the tech choices for this meta that I'm running is multiple Sinful Spoils of Betrayal's Silvera. Not so much for the on-field effect, which tribute a Diabellstar monster and target a card on the field and negate it, but more for the graveyard effect, where if your opponent chains a card, responds to like your Diabellstar or Sinful Spoils card effect, you banish it in the grave to negate that effect. So the ideal is you have Diabellstar and Betrayal in hand. You summon out Diabellstar by sending Betrayal. If they try to imperm your Diabellstar, you can chain Betrayal. Same with Deception. You can negate their, their Ash or Purge. Another funny thing is you can also use that to negate not Maxi, Droll and Lockbird in certain situations. If you summon out using Hallowed Murcielago, add Wanted with player priority, activate Wanted. If they attempt to chain Droll and Lockbird, you can chain Betrayal and negate Droll. Of course, this kind of leans on your opponent not reading Betrayal, and probably is a lot better of an option, at least for the Droll situation example, in Master Duel where people aren't really reading the cards because you're saying so many different decks. But in person play, it does help to prevent your opponent from responding to your effects, or they're having to wait till resolution, and you can only do that so many times. We still have the 3 LZ and 3 Sylvie. Those are still the standard mandatory 3 EVs of the deck. One thing that I am testing out is the 1 Esteller, 1 Witch of the White Forest. Since you really do not want to be dark locked, I'm just running 1 field spell. I think my list is at 41 total, and I'll discuss some of the flexible options, but you really don't want to get dark locked because then you're leaving out the entire Azamina line and most importantly, not most importantly, but somewhat importantly, the Dragoon line as well. So I'm playing 1 Witch and 1 Esteller. This kind of is going on to what I was saying earlier with you have so many ways to get stuff into the graveyard. Well, not so really. You got 7. You got the 3 Wanted, 3 Witch, Deception, to where you're kind of needing cards you can plus off of when summoning out these monsters. With the Blackout Laughs not really being as good, there's not really many decks besides like Yummy Snatchy, declaring Yummy Snatchy with Goat in the grave. It just doesn't really feel like there's enough decks to warrant playing it. So I'm opting to play a Stellar for now because you have multiple ways to summon her out. You can go with Elzette, Diabelle's, Arciela. If they try to interrupt you turn 1, and you're able to get out Diabelle's plus Vengeance, you can summon out Arciela, and then just pop, and go from there. Another interesting tech choice that I'm trying is play the Diabelle. This, in theory, is mostly meant to summon out the OG Diabelles, which is pretty much an instant win against Radiant Typhoon unless they, open a Kaiju or Lava Golem. That one is still in a lot of testing and more in the theory crafting area. So if a spell or trap is sent to the grave to activate a card or effect, so pretty much you'd be using this on resolution of like LZ, Diabels, pretty much any of the sends I said earlier besides Black Witch, because that's not an activated effect. You can send an illusion or spellcaster monster from your hand deck or extra deck to the grave. So one thing this can fix is if you end up drawing Gaze of Timaeus and aren't actually able to summon out Dark Magician of Destruction, the most likely situation of that is you happen to hard draw it, plus you're dark locked, forced to use the field spell or something like that. Another situation is dumping OG Diabels or the new Diabels and reviving them later. But the more important effect that I kind of like more is the graveyard effect. Banish 3 spell traps from the grave, including play the Diabel, special summon a Diabel monster from hand or grave. So if you're trying to push into the board with the Diabels threatening the card destruction protection, you can always summon out Diabels early, and if they pop it, you can you can end up going curse, add play the Diabel. You can send play the Diabel, however, and then you can use the effect banish itself, curse plus just one other spell trap, and summon out Diabels again. So I've been really enjoying just the version of pure gas. One thing you might notice is the lack of Ash Blossom in Joyous Spring. I feel like it's such an underwhelming card to draw going second and really only good for the Charmies. Plus, the deck has a lot of good half boards in comparison to other meta decks. So, like I said earlier, if you get Fuad and you start on your Diabell Star line, you can give one draw for 2 Omni Negates, and that's not even including just opening field spell or opening Sylvie into the field spell and having the 2 Diabell monsters on field. Another tech choice that I haven't mentioned yet is Debtors underneath Hallowed. That one, again, is more of a card that I like to use for the graveyard effect of banish it, target an Azamina in your graveyard, and special summon it out. Mind you, with Azamina Debtors, you can only use each effect once per turn, so you're forced to either fusion summon or revive the monster from the graveyard. You cannot use both, which is honestly a major drawback, but it makes sense. I guess that's just the drawback for being a quick play spell. But what this is good for is when you're trying to break a board, or again, turn 1, you're interrupted, and let's say Azamina sent to graveyard, you can send Debtors or banish it from the grave, revive the Elza Azamina. It also means on the crackback turn 3, you can revive your Ilia Sylvia start of main phase and just threaten that Omni Negate before you even commit to any other plays. Another tech choice that I have is the Subversion. I feel like it's probably the easiest way to out Wave Hiking Caesar, besides drawing Droplet or something. Just not many decks have that targeting protection, at least on that monster. And if you can play it right, you can Subversion Yummy Snatchy, but that's really kind of rare where you're drawing it with like Droplet or Vengeance on field as well to pop whatever they could use as synchro material when they chain. And then for non-engine, as you can see, it's 3 Perulia, 3 Fualos, 3 Droplet, and then triple Tactics Talent and Call by the Grave. I don't really feel like anything else is really worth using. You really just want to be drawing pure engine for the most part, and use Perulia and Fua to force your opponent into a half board. Because I think engine for engine, this is probably one of the strongest decks that is meta viable at the moment. You can easily breeze through just like a Yummy board. Maybe the Yummy Tri-Brigade Radiant Typhoon deck uninterrupted might be stronger, but I don't have much experience with that matchup. Another questionable decision, I guess, or, feel free to change it, is the inclusion of Woes of the White Forest. That could be another betrayal, could be literally anything. You could remove it if you wanted to. My biggest reason for playing that card is because I want a searchable trap through every engine. I want to be able to search a trap through the Diabell line with White Witch. I want to be able to search a spell trap, I really just need the trap through the Sinful Spoils line. And then I want a searchable trap through the white forest line. Anything to keep Vengeance live for longer. I feel like just playing one game where you use Diabelle's dump curse and that's your only trap and they negate it just feels really bad, and then you just never want to find yourself in that situation again. Now, onto the extra deck and the side deck. In the extra deck, I feel like the biggest flex spots right now are Doomed Dragon and Moa you really got to make them come up, and even then, they may not even come up that much. But in terms of the synchros, I feel like all the the 6 synchros are all very important. Use them, of course, Arcielo plus Diabelle's in the main ladder. Poplar, you push to. This is when you're going first, of course. Poplar into Vengeance Dragon, very normal combo there. Doom Dragon, if you are playing Sinful Spells of the White Forest, there is a line to go Vengeance Dragon, summon out Poplar. Poplar plays 2, which again isn't even necessary. But then you use Poplar plus whatever into Snake Eye Vengeance Dragon, and then you can use Sinful Spells of the White Forest Fusion Summon using Vengeance Dragon, of course, after you push, ideally, plus any other illusion. So make Doom Dragon, and that's another push. It's not the greatest, but you know, if you get hit with an imperm or whatever, you can dodge it through whatever interruptions they might have. Since the deck is so much more Black Witch heavy, I do feel like Chorozo is almost necessary. Otherwise, you're constantly ending on these weird, awkward half boards of SP plus Ilya Sylvia plus Dragoon, which again isn't horrible, but turn 2, you're just praying that you open up a White Forest card, which, I mean, you assuming you didn't draw one turn 1, you got the 3 Sylvie, 3 Ilzet, Tails, Field Spell, Stellar. Yeah, I mean, you got a handful, but there's just likely just as many cards that would be dead. So, plus you're on a timer because then Dragoon will be banished by the end phase, assuming you summoned it out on your opponent's turn. Saint Azamina still feels necessary, just to easily deal with Liger Dancer and other towers. Like if my opponent made a Light Dark Chaos Angel, I'm completely fine. I'll just Saint Azamina crash into it. I guess there could be some discussion for taking out Moa Regina for Azamina, the Kaiju Azamina, but I just keep in Moa Regina because it's really your only play around Nibiru in terms of summoning out White Witch and continuing to play from there. The other thing is, without Play the Diabelle, using Moa Regina is your only way to summon out Diabelle's, the original Sin Keeper, from the graveyard because it is an illusion. So that combo involves using the new Diabelle's, dumping, I believe you use the new Diabelle and dump the old one. Yeah, so use the new Diabelle's, dump the old one, go into Moa Regina, reborn the old one, and then you're just kind of chilling because they can't activate quick play spells. That kind of brings me into my side deck. I do bring in the Ash because you got to swap out 3 cards or 6 cards at least when going first. So 3 Ash, Scourge plus Imperm. Also, I'll put in Droll and or Bell depending on the matchup. It's like Radiant Typhoon, Draco Tail. I might put in Ghost Spell just to help push. Just for various other rogue decks, I'll put in Droll or the Magistus variant. Evenly Match is also something that I play. There's a lot of people saying it's a bad card right now, but if your opponent does not respect Evenly Matched, you can build a board that they won't be able to play through on the crackback. One thing is I'm not playing Zalin that a lot of people are playing. I just don't feel like it's necessary. You already have your 2 Omni Negates. I don't really think a third is going to win you the game, to where, unless you're just poorly using your other interactions with the deck. And if that's the case, then just play the deck a little bit more and really learn what the deck is trying to accomplish with its extra deck options. So I did record some test hands, but I accidentally had double audio on them, so the clips are pretty unusable. But if this video gets 10 likes, then I'll make some test hand videos and kind of show the whole thought process you should have.